Prairie Mosaic is funded by the Minnesota Arts and Cultural Heritage Fund with money from the vote of the people of Minnesota on November 4th, 2008, the North Dakota Council on the Arts, and by the members of Prairie Public.
Welcome to Prairie Mosaic, a patchwork of stories about the arts, culture, and history in our region. Hi, I'm Barb Gravel.
And I'm Bob Damback. On this edition, we'll hear one family's story of immigrating to North Dakota, explore the origins of seeds, watch a rhubarb leaf become pottery, and enjoy music from a popular North Dakota band. Prairie Public produced a documentary called Prairie Memories, The Vietnam War Years, in which we recorded oral histories of people who served, who protested, or who were left behind. As both an Air Force brat and a participant in student protests, Kim Stenehjem lived both sides of this issue.
My name is Kim Stenehjem. I live now in Fargo, North Dakota, and in the 70s I was involved in the student anti-war movement. I was a student at what was then Moorhead State College. It's now Minnesota State University, Moorhead. And I came there from a life as an Air Force brat. Having lived with military people all my life, I just could not reconcile the people I knew with the caricature that some of the more radical anti-war people were putting out there. The people serving in the military were baby killers, that they were Nazis, that they were fascists. That wasn't my dad. That wasn't my neighbors. That wasn't my neighbors' friends and co-workers. Those were good people. That made it kind of hard, really. And I always felt, while I definitely could not support what the government was doing, I didn't feel at home either with that more radical element driving the protest forces. Although I was very sure that I was opposed to the war, I didn't really feel a part of the movement either because of the strong anti-military bent that was true in so many of the more radical members. And I don't think I ever really came to terms with whether my very quiet participation mattered until a few years ago when we went to Washington, D.C. and visited the Vietnam Memorial. Standing there with that wall of names, I felt even if my tiny little effort kept one name off that wall, it was worth it.
Many of the foods we eat come from seeds. Who are the keepers of the seeds? And are older varieties of seeds important? We'll explore those questions and more in a segment from the Prairie Public North Dakota Humanities Council project, Key Ingredients.
Farmers have historically been the keepers of the seed and have been the plant breeders. Many of the varieties, for instance, in the Oscar Will catalog, were varieties that were accessed from people, native peoples. They were indigenous to this landscape, and native people had been cultivating them for hundreds of years.
The seeds were harvested in the fall, along with all the other, with the corn and the squash and the other vegetables. I used to watch my mother do this. She would select the strongest, firmest, straightest ears and set them aside. And like with the corn, they were specific for specific purposes. There was a softer corn that they used and they ground. And when they ground that up, when it was ripe, they would roast it and then grind it and put it with tallow and berries, chokecherries or June berries. The chokecherries they'd be ground up to, and they'd make corn balls. And those were food for when they went out and and lasted them throughout the winter.
I want that one. Can you pick it for me? Wow, thank you.
Traditional gardening of the Nuata or Mandan is almost gone now. There are elements of it left, and it'll just become an historical artifact.
The ideal situation would be to have all of our families again have gardens. And I think many, many, many people do. But a lot of us are raising contemporary seeds. And I really believe that it'd be great to have another garden of traditional seeds. And I am encouraging all of our Indian people, if you have seeds, to dig them out. You know, see if they're good. You know, don't put them all in the ground, but put half of them in there maybe. You know, some of my earliest seeds are, the earliest seeds I have are listed as 1798 as my earliest batch I got, and I got 14 seeds. I haven't grown them in any place, I'm scared.
The selection process that we have done has been nothing more than what farmers and gardeners have done for millennia, and really is the base for all of the good food crops that we have today, is all the work that was done before us.
Basically what I do on this farm is I grow and evaluate fresh vegetables, and I also run a small seed business, primarily heirloom seeds, and then more recently focusing on garden seeds on contract to seed companies and seed catalogs. So if I'm thinking, if my farm is to be sustainable, where the seeds come from is the number one thing that I'm thinking is a key to lead to sustainability. I'm not saying every farmer needs to raise his own seeds, although at one point in time that was a very common practice right where we're at out here in the prairies. Everybody saved their own seeds. If you look at all the old farmsteads, there's granaries and there's seed cleaners in those. But typically with the consolidation in the seed industry, not only in cereal grains but in vegetables and everything else, there's been less seed saving, and some of that's due to patenting and laws that we have to abide by too. So I think one good way to look to be sustainable then is to be able to have seeds adapted and be able to continue, because that farm can continue if you can continually harvesting seeds.
We developed seed production, organic vegetable seed production. It's been a passion of mine for many years, gardening and saving seeds, and I had developed some varieties in our garden, and so we just went with that.
As we develop more local and regional food systems and address the issues of food security, we also need to address the issues of seed security. That is, in fact, where our food comes from.
There was a time when seeds weren't patented, and it's really only fairly recent that they have been able to patent seeds or any life form. And my fears have been realized that it has resulted in consolidation in the seed industry and less choice for consumers.
Seed is relegated to being bought and sold, period. It cannot be shared, it cannot be saved, it cannot be freely distributed, and it denies people social, political, and economic access to seed.
I think it's very important to preserve the genetics found in older varieties. I think a lot of the old varieties of vegetables set the standard for quality, taste, and nutritive value, storability, all the things that were valued in times past. If, as seed growers, seed selectors, seed savers, if we focus on those things, that produces good food for healthy bodies, for healthy spirits, and what more as a human community could we ask of our food? I think that's just a great thing to strive for.
Carolyn Sperle of Napoleon, North Dakota, tells the story of her German-Russian family immigrating to Napoleon in 1911, just 5 years before she was born.
My name is Carolyn Sperle from Napoleon, North Dakota. Now I'm going to show you my borscht. We lived on a farm about 6 miles northwest of here. I was born there in January the 23rd, 1916. When the priest baptized me, he said, the smallest baby I ever baptized. Grandpa and his family came on the ship. They came over in April 1911. And when they got to New York, when they looked at Grandpa, they noticed he was blind in one eye. Like you put cattle in the corral, that's what they did to him, and put an X on his shoulder. And then they said, you can come in, but he can't. Then they had enough money so that they could take care of Grandpa, anybody, you know. So they let him come. And then from there, from New York, they took the train to Lytton because that's where cousins were. After they were there a while, Grandma was standing behind the house crying. I wish I would be back in Russia, but I don't like the ship. There was an agent there, and he said to our Grandpa, you can set up a homestead in Napoleon. So they came over, and then they had a homestead. My oldest brother and my oldest sister were born in Russia. And then when I was born, then they called me the little Yankee. In the 30s, when I grew up, this was a German community. I didn't think we were poor because we had chickens, we had pigs, we had cows, so we had milk, and we had everything, you know. There was food on the table, and a place to sleep. What else did we want? I had a good life.
Sara Jo Trangsrud has always loved to play in the dirt. Now she has taken that love and incorporated it into a style of pottery that reflects her passion for the outdoors and organic shapes. See how she takes an ordinary rhubarb leaf and transforms it into something special.
Art gave me a release because I was so nervous as a child. I think it gave me a release where I could do things that I was actually good at. I usually start with going out to the rhubarb patch and looking at my leaves. I grew up with rhubarb leaves. You know, we played with rhubarb leaves. We did stuff with rhubarb leaves when we were growing up. I need to find two similar leaves. Of course, no two are alike. And I look for a leaf that kind of spikes my creative interest. I need a leaf also that will lay somewhat flat, because if it's too much wavy, then you can't get it laid down into the clay. The first time I got an inkling to use clay is I bartered with a friend. She made the cement leaves, which I'm sure most people are familiar with out of rhubarb. And I looked at that and I thought, it's so heavy and clumsy. It's beautiful, beautiful, but I don't want it to be so heavy. I thought, I can do clay. And I have to do some trimming on the veins because if the veins are too thick, they will press all the way through your clay, and then you don't have a leaf, you have bits and pieces of mess. One leaf is pressed in, I flip it over, and I actually devein the second leaf of the big veins, press it in, and then I lay it into whatever form I decide I'm going to be using with that particular leaf. I always liked dirt and growing things, you know, and I think the clay lets me express that passion. I learned a lot in the production pottery, you know, learning more discipline actually there. You know, in college they emphasize the creative more, and when I worked at the production pottery, I learned more discipline. You just kind of ease it down into the bowl. It kind of somewhat decides on its own which way it wants to flip, and somewhat I decide it needs to go one way or another. Don't want any real deep creases. I allow them to dry. I pick some of the leaf out. What doesn't come out comes out, burns out in the kiln. Then I get to decide what colors these leaves are going to get. They don't have to be green. They can be red, they can be blue, they can be combinations. And I pick the colors that I want to go on the leaf. And I glaze, and I usually use the pouring method just to let it flow in with the leaf so it has kind of a growing, flowing feel to it. I don't know, a lot of it's trial and error. You know, You try something that didn't work, well, what did work? You know, some glazes work better with other glazes that, because I do a lot of glaze overlay. And you get wonderful things, and sometimes they're not wonderful, but you learn then from it. Sometimes there's some glazes that work better underneath, some work better on top, some don't work together at all. I realized I could melt glass in this and make it look like water running down into my leaf, and it just, one thing added to another, and I went from flat leaves to more rounded leaves. I can throw on the wheel, and I can do other hand-built things, but when I can use something that has grown with the clay and create something with it, that's when I feel the passion. When I put the pieces into the kiln, I teeter pieces of broken glass where I feel like water would flow. If you get too high with the glass, it starts dissipating and makes kind of a weird charred look in your pot. If you get the right temperature, it has this wonderful flow. Then it gets fired again, and it's like Christmas every time I open the final firing, because you never know for sure if it's going to work exactly how you planned. It usually doesn't, but usually it's wonderful. It's therapy. You have the self-gratification that you've made something beautiful. There's something for me about digging in dirt, playing in the clay, that just makes me feel good. And that's kind of a therapy for me too. I really enjoy seeing it done, but one of the joys is seeing how other people react to them. They see these leaves and they go, wow, is that real water? That's one of the first reactions. They want to touch, they're scared to touch the glass, but they want to. I was, go ahead and touch it. And that's not water. They expect it to be water in the bottom of these leaves, and it's glass. And then, just watching their reactions to the different colors and shapes. The passion evolves into the next thing. And who knows what will be next. It keeps evolving, and it's kind of a journey. And it speaks a little bit of my story, I guess.
The band December's Children has been together for over a decade. Their own twist on Americana rock derived from bands like the Rolling Stones and Hank Williams. Their original music is pleasantly infectious.
Hi, I'm Ryan Johnston. I'm the lead singer with December's Children. The band formed when Kurt Lowe and I started to write songs about 1997, and pretty soon we found Mark Sands, our drummer in Oslo, Minnesota, and we were able to rock up our songs a little bit. We were heavily influenced at the time by the Rolling Stones, and we wanted to write our own songs like Mick Jagger and Keith Richards did. And we found it was, we were fairly quick at it, and pretty soon we got this mass catalog of a pretty eclectic mix of music.
She said she had a rough and rowdy party late last night. Alright. She said she wished that something would have led me to her door. I'm sure. Tell me another ugly to keep me hanging on. Try to explain, you really got my interest, but I never get enough. But I digress, I really love to hear the rain. Yeah, but that was what I said, and that was what I said. I looked at her, said I would been asleep if she had called. I stalled, said I don't mind you feeding me a handful of your lies. Then I cried. Tell me another ugly one to keep me hanging on. Try to explain, you really got my interest, but I never get enough. But I digress, I really love to hear the rest. Yeah, and that was what I said, and that was what I said. I really meant that you're the only one I see, believe. And if you take the slivers of your love from me, agree to live a life so hidden from you fills my heart with dread. I need you like a tired baby needs a bed. Yeah, that's what I should have said. That's what I should have said. So she went on and told me that I really had some nerve to disturb. Said I don't mind you feeding me a handful of your lies. Then I cried. Tell me another ugly one to keep me hanging on. Try to explain, you really got my interest, but I never get enough. But I digress, I really love to hear the rest. Yeah, but that was what I said. Too bad that's all I said. Too bad that's all I said. But that was all I said.
If you know of an artist, a topic, or an organization in our region that you think might make for an interesting segment, please contact us at Prairie Mosaic at prairiepublic.org. I'm Barb Gravel.
And I'm Bob Damback. Thank you for joining us for this edition of Prairie Mosaic.
Prairie Mosaic is funded by the Minnesota Arts and Cultural Heritage Fund with money from the vote of the people of Minnesota on November 4th, 2008, the North Dakota Council on the Arts, and by the members of Prairie Public.